which will take him across Iraq to many different cities, beginning with Baghdad, where he's landing at the international airport. There we see the honor guard waiting for the Pope's arrival. And there is Pope Francis' airplane, the Alitalia flight AZ-4000, took off from Rome about 4.5 hours ago, flew over Greece and Cyprus, also Israel and Jordan, on the way to Iraq there, where the Holy Father is making an historic trip to visit the Christians there, and also to encourage interreligious dialogue and human fraternity. These are hallmarks of his pontificate, reaching out to those on the peripheries, always trying to give an encouraging word and gesture to those in difficulty. We can say that the Christians of Iraq have been in particular difficulty over the last decades, in particular since 2014, where in Mosul and in the Nineveh plain in Iraqi Kurdistan in the north, ISIS took many of the cities that have since been taken back, but the rebuilding of the Christian presence in those areas has been very difficult. The Pope going, as he said in a video message in the lead up to his trip, as a pilgrim of peace and also a pilgrim of fraternity. Of that Alitalia plane that's carrying the Pope and his entourage, and also more than 70 journalists there at Baghdad's international airport, is really quite the sight. So the Pope, throughout this trip, as he visits with the communities in their churches. Later on today, he'll be meeting with bishops, priests, religious, consecrated persons, and seminarians, and also catechists in the Syro-Catholic Cathedral there in Baghdad. It's Our Lady of Salvation Church, which was the site. Also on a schedule between now and then as the official welcome ceremony at the Presidential Palace in Baghdad, a courtesy visit to the President of the Republic, and also a meeting with authorities, civil society, and the diplomatic corps. You see the airplane coming into position there for the Pope to exit the airplane and go right down that red carpet, where he'll be welcomed by delegations from state authorities and also from the church. Again, the two keys to understanding this trip are the visit to the struggling Christian community in Iraq, which has been decimated by conflict and persecution, especially over the last 6, 7, 8 years. There were more than 1 million Catholics, Christians in Iraq up until 2014, and so many families have left due to the ongoing difficulties. The Vatican released numbers earlier this week saying that there were fights of having major public events during a pandemic, very present on the minds of people. But they do expect thousands of people to be present, who reserved a place at that Mass weeks in advance. Something to note as this weekend coverage goes on. During the visit, the Pope will be meeting with the different rites, the different Catholic rites. You see today he'll It's a windy day in Baghdad. Francis stepping off the plane there in his mask. All those on the plane were required to get vaccines in advance of the trip, and all of them wearing masks, as is protocol. Pope waiting for Prime Minister Mustafa Al-Kadhimi, who's coming to welcome the Pope there at the base of the stairs. Fortunately, one person we won't see there greeting Pope Francis is Archbishop Michal Leskovar, who's the Apostolic Nuncio, or top diplomat, ambassador of the Pope to Iraq, who came down with COVID-19 in the days leading up to this trip. Whereas normally the Apostolic Nuncio would accompany the Pope on every phase of the trip, this time it couldn't be so. See, there's an Iraqi cardinal there to the Pope's right. That's Cardinal Luis Rafael Sacco, the head of the Chaldean Catholics. Was there to welcome the Pope, and also Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Pope's foreign minister, the head of the Secretariat of State of the Vatican, who will be stepping out of that airplane there in a matter of moments with Pope Francis. A handshake and official welcome from Prime Minister Mustafa Al-Kadhimi of Iraq to Pope Francis. They're being greeted also by children, Iraqi children, as he takes his first steps on Iraqi soil, so to speak. They're on the red carpet. The Prime Minister now introducing the Pope to members of the official state delegation to the sound of the band. Which is down on international trips. This is his 33rd since beginning the pontificate in March of 2013. It's coming up on the 8th anniversary. On March the 13th, he was elected in 2013. Coming up on that 8th anniversary, which the Pope will mark back here in Rome after these 3.5 days in Iraq. He'll be there from today, the 5th of March, until Monday, the 8th of March. Traveling 900 miles across Iraq to the different cities. He'll be in Najaf, go through Nasiriyah on his way to Ur. Today's in Baghdad, and every evening will be spent in Baghdad. Then he'll be going also to Iraqi Kurdistan up in the north. He'll go to the cities of Mosul, Erbil, and Karakosh. See, it's too windy to wear that skull cap today. There's no possibility of keeping it on his head there. So Pope Francis is about to retire there inside the terminal of the airport for a brief private visit with Prime Minister. And what we'll see afterwards is the Pope heading to the presidential palace, where he'll be meeting with the Iraqi president in a courtesy visit. It's also in private, and then there will be public meetings where the Pope is expected to give speeches to society and the diplomatic corps first, and then he'll be moving on to the Syro-Catholic Cathedral of Our Lady of Salvation for a meeting with bishops, priests, religious, consecrated persons, seminarians, and catechists. We'll be bringing you live coverage of those events. You can stick with us this entire day for that coverage, and then throughout the next 3 days where we'll be bringing you wall-to-wall coverage thanks to our team in Alabama and also to interreligious dialogue. He'll be meeting with Sunni and Shia Muslim officials, also meeting with members of the Jewish community. He's made this a hallmark of his pontificate, issuing just a year and a half ago the Fratelli Tutti encyclical letter, which speaks about human fraternity, brotherhood among peoples and religions. You see that sister reaching out and touching the Pope's elbow. It's hard, even in a pandemic, to reach out and touch the successor Peter as he walks past. All Catholics, of course, looking for a blessing and just being encouraged, I'm sure, by his presence there in their midst. You'll see the diversity of the Iraqi people there in that welcoming committee. It's just beautiful music to welcome the Holy Father. For coverage of this and all the different events throughout the weekend, you can tune in to EWTN.com and to EWTN's main broadcast on satellite television, your local cable networks. Feel free to log on to social media to send us a line to say hello, make a comment, or just share in this incredible visit, extraordinary first ever of a Pope in Iraq. PM, he was a little ahead of time and actually had to fly in circles outside of Baghdad in order to make it a little closer to the appointed time. So at 2 o'clock local time was the official touchdown, and at about 4:40 local time, so 2.5 hours, two and a quarter from now, the Pope will be meeting with those bishops, priests, and religious at the cathedral, the Syro-Catholic Cathedral of Baghdad. And in between now and then, there are a number of events that we'll be bringing you live from Iraq by way of EWTN's media. If you'd like some more information about the trip and the presence of the Christian community there in particular, you can go to CatholicNewsAgency.com and also to NCRegister.com for the National Catholic Register and Catholic News Agency coverage leading up to this trip. We're putting in a lot of time and reading up and interviewing people about what this papal trip means to them, about the historic Christian presence there. Are saying that they have high hopes for the Pope's visit, very excited to have him there. Blame them. It's been a very difficult time for them, and some of those who have left have come back, some never left at all, and have been able to weather this. And we hope, Colum also sat down for an interview at a distance with Archbishop Bashar Warda, who is the Chaldean Catholic Archbishop of Erbil in northern Iraq. And he asked them about that. Will there be a continued Christian presence in Iraq? Is there a risk that the Christian presence could be eliminated? And he said, it is a risk. It is a risk. There's no way around. And there's a lot that we can all do to, in the rest of the world, to support Christians there. First and foremost, Aid to the Church in Need had financed 1.5 million euros. It's about $1.8 million in scholarships for Christian, well, not only Christian, but for students to attend the Catholic University of Erbil. Give them an opportunity to learn, to develop professional skills there on site, and to continue this Christian presence there, which is so, so important. Not only Aid to the Church in Need, but also so many other Catholic organizations are present there, helping so much to keep the Christian presence in the Holy Land and in these ancient places such as Iraq. The Knights of Columbus doing work, donating millions of dollars to rebuild the Nineveh Plain, the Christian presence there. The reconstruction project that's going on there at the moment, and has been ongoing since ISIS was beaten back. Catholic Relief Services, Caritas, all Catholic organizations working on the ground there to do so much.